BBC Radio Devon.
Some great guests for you, as ever, on a Saturday. We start with Adam Simmons and Chris Perkins, who are from the Westcountry Hawks. They play and coach wheelchair rugby, the sport they once called murder ball. Chris is the coach, Adam is the captain. Adam, let me start with you. Is it as rough as they say?
Good morning, Michael. Yes, it is pretty rough. We like to have a good smash, and it's probably, it's the only wheelchair sport that's full contact, so complete. As long as you don't actually touch the person, you're complete within your rights to smash the hell out of each other. Really.
You can't touch the person, but you can touch their chair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that part of the appeal of it for you?
Yeah, definitely. It's completely the appeal. I think society tends to wrap disabled people up in a bit of cotton wool, really. So being able to get onto the court and let loose is a great release. It's
almost an element of getting some frustration out. You feel good afterwards. I'm not suggesting you want to hurt anyone, but in terms of just doing something really, really physical.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. Yeah, it's I was quite before I became disabled. I was quite sporty. I did a lot of different sports, and it's great to be able to get the old blood pressure running and get competitive again.
Chris, I know you coach the team, and it is a sport that's perhaps come to a bit more prominence in recent years thanks to its exposure in the Paralympics and so on, though I imagine it's frustrating that you sometimes feel you only get exposure when it's the Paralympics.
Yeah, it is. The Paralympics really kicked it off, and it was the most watched Paralympic sport in there. So it came well after that, and it's really boomed. And now we went from probably half a dozen clubs in the country to, I think there's about 14 now, and another 6 coming online. So it's really keeping up with it at the minute, what's going on. And yes, Paralympics always will lead, but the sport is booming as well. So and in Devon and Cornwall is really booming because we've got a junior club starting in Exeter. We started with 3 people in Plymouth, and now we're up to 14. So yes, it's going from strength to strength.
And obviously you need that critical mass, don't you? Because the more teams there are, the easier it is for you to get games without having to travel miles to get to the opposition.
Yeah, that's a real problem for us. We have to go to Stoke-on-Trent to play in the Super Series, which is a long, long way, and overnight
No one wants to go to Stoke-on-Trent.
Nobody wants to go to Stoke-on-Trent. But we did go to Leicester beforehand, so it was better than that. But
our online listening in the West Midlands and the East Midlands has just plummeted now.
Yeah. But yes, we'll as we get more local matches, it'll be great because it'll be more like League Rugby, really.
Yeah.
League Rugby Union,
which is exactly what you want, clearly.
Exactly.
BBC Radio Devon with Michael Checker for a Saturday morning, 9:22 now. Back to my guests this morning, and in particular Adam Simmons and Chris Perkins, who are from the Westcountry Hawks, from the wheelchair rugby team in the southwest. Chris is the coach, Adam is the captain. But how much tie-in is there between traditional rugby union and wheelchair rugby? Are there similarities, Adam?
Not a huge amount of similarities. The sport was created by upper limb disabled people in Canada in the 70s, designed for people who couldn't play basketball, and it's more a mixture of American football and ice hockey, really. So we play with a round volleyball. There's 4 players on a team, and you play on a basketball court.
So, I mean, and what is the aim? Is the aim to score a try in the same way?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a goal at both ends, and your objective is to get that ball over that line.
And obviously, as we were talking about earlier, it can be a tough game, and that's because you can tackle.
Absolutely, yeah. Full tackles, yeah.
So how do you go about, how does that work?
Well, you get as much speed as you possibly can, and you smash into people. That's
hoping that they're going to let go of the ball, basically. Yeah. Or you can grab the ball, I suppose.
Yeah, you're allowed to swing for the ball as long as you don't touch the person. If you touch the person, you end up going off.
Knock it out of their hands.
Yeah.
And you can end up just toppling over, can't you?
Yeah, you can knock, especially if you can knock a big player over, then that's great, because they're out of the game for until the play stopped.
So how does that work then? Okay, so someone goes over in their chair, and we should point out that that's okay, it's allowed to happen in the game, and they're strapped in, so they shouldn't be getting hurt when that happens. No. Because the chair's effectively a kind of roll cage around you, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the game carries on?
Yeah, as long as the play isn't going to put the player on the floor in danger.
Yeah.
So the play's going away from the player, then the rest will allow that to carry on. Yeah.
Chris, it's a mixed game, isn't it?
Yes, a mixed game. Yeah.
I mean, is it something in which men and women can compete absolutely equally?
Yeah, it's an advantage actually to be a lady playing because of the handicap system, they lose 0.5 of a point.
Right.
We have 8 points on the court at one time, so they lose. So a lady has got a little bit more of a thing than a guy, so they're gold dust really. Especially if they're good players.
And you've got some really good players up and coming.
We've got some very good players.
Tell me about
Faye
them.
West is exceptionally good, and I think she's up at Telford now in the training camps or next week. And we have got. In fact, half our club is probably ladies, and it's great to see that you get a good mix. And also they bring a lot of, because of that we get more of a social aspect to the thing as well. So that's good. And I should say, when these people do fall over, there is never any danger to them because we just pick them up and put them back up again. Yeah, and they quite enjoy it, really, don't they, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the.
It doesn't happen that often. One of our players continually falls over, but it's because he's quite big up at the top. But
so fundamentally a little bit unstable.
He's a bit unstable at times. Is Richard, and he enjoys it because he thinks if he falls over 3 times a night, he's really done well. So, but it's always the same person. So it is mixed sport, and that's great. That's great. It is, and also it's mixed with that you can play over 11. Over 11 years age, you can play with seniors because they're just strapped in the chairs. Yeah. We've got a young girl coming in who's 14, who's a very good player as well, and she's just going to start playing this week, I think.
It's interesting. I mean, you're talking about when you became disabled, Adam, and obviously people can have a disability for all sorts of reasons. You can be born with a congenital problem, you can have an accident or whatever. Are people sometimes nervous about getting involved? If they've acquired their disability through an accident, they think, hang on, I'm putting myself in what appears to be a very rough position again, a very tough position again.
I think there's a... sometimes the sport is portrayed as extremely rough or quite dangerous, which I think is a little bit done for advertising and things like that. Yeah. So it's not as bad as probably a lot of people think, and again, you hear a lot of loud bangs when you're playing, but it's a bit like the old saying with a dog, it's barks worse than it's bite. Going back to your original question of whether people are put off, I'm not sure. I think a lot of people that I've met personally who've sustained kind of spinal injuries or whatever have already done maybe some crazy stuff already. Maybe that's how they ended up in a wheelchair.
Like that in the first place, yeah.
Yeah, so and I think there's a bit of a thread going through us all. Well, we've done this to, we're already ended up in a wheelchair. There's not much more that can go wrong, really, so why not give it a go?
Yeah, fair point. Interesting point. It's a good spectator sport.
I mean, we had a fantastic video done, and 2 people sitting on the bench. Adam was one of them, and another guy called Matt. And they said to him, do you feel the bangs? He said, I can't feel anything. How would I feel the bangs when I get hit? Which was quite a good answer, wasn't it, Adam, at the time? Yeah. And it came over really well in the video.
It's interesting. You end up having conversations on subjects I suspect that people normally try and skirt around, but actually it's often better just to grasp it and have that conversation. Yeah, what you've just said is an example of that.
I don't think as far as I'm concerned, when you coach them and our other coaches, which all came from rugby union, I don't think you see the chair. You just see the person. You just
see the competitor, see the game, see the sport, see the ball.
Player.
Yeah.
You never think about the chair, I don't think.
And tell me about your success at the moment. I mean, the reason that I kind of got the contact with you in the first place is because you had a very successful season last year, didn't you?
Yes, and we got put forward by Devon for the RFU President's Awards, and we became runners-up. So that was quite a prestigious thing in Twickenham. Big presentation, a whole day up there, and that was quite nice. But over the years we've gradually sort of worked up and done better. It's because of the amazing support of the players, really, that have come along and trained and do as much as they can, and they've just improved, really.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about getting the exposure, getting people knowing about what it is you do.
Yeah.
And the Rugby World Cup, of course, the Rugby Union World Cup comes to this country in the autumn. In fact, it comes to Devon, with some matches being played at Sandy Park, the Exeter Chiefs Stadium. And there's a wheelchair rugby competition that's tied in with that, isn't there?
Yes, up in Twickenham, not in Twickenham, but at the Copper Box up at the Stafford, up at the Olympic Stadium. There's a competition with all the top world teams from the world coming, which will be a big prelude to the Paralympics next year in Rio.
It's also going to be live on ITV as well. I think it's the first wheelchair rugby tournament that's actually going to be put on a terrestrial TV channel. That must be great. Does that feel like a real breakthrough moment? Yeah, I think it is. I think it's real recognition of the popularity of the sport. Yeah. Outside of the Olympics or events like that as well. Yeah. Listen, guys, it's brilliant talking to you. Stay with us between now and 10 this morning. Texts come in about this, by the way. First time contacting you. This is particularly for attention of Adam and Chris. First time contacting you, but just had to say how great to hear about wheelchair rugby this morning. My granddaughter gets the opportunity to play it at school and loves it. It's improved her self-confidence immensely. Great sport. Interesting point that raises. I don't know whether this Texas granddaughter is able-bodied or has a disability, but is it a game actually that anyone can play? Can you play it if you are able-bodied? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, it's a very easy game to play, easy to pick up, and a lot of fun, and you can gain confidence out of it. I suspect this girl probably, because we go to Exeter, St Luke's at Exeter, I suspect she probably plays there. Which Adam's come to as well, haven't you, Adam? Yeah, I mean, and you can play it if you are able-bodied with a disability, whether you can play it on a level playing field at the same time. No, the people who are in wheelchairs really have used wheelchairs, and they're used to using wheelchairs. When I first started it, we played Plymouth Albion players against the wheelchair people, and they struggled to use the wheelchairs, really. They struggled with, nice to be the one at an advantage for once, I'm quite sure. People in the wheelchairs have a bit of an advantage. Listen, guys, thank you. We'll talk more one final time in a moment. What we usually do at this point, of course, is have a little roundup of how you can find out more if you've enjoyed what you've heard this morning. Adam Simmons, captain of the Westcountry Hawks. If people are interested in wheelchair rugby, albeit playing or watching, what can they do? Yeah, absolutely. As we talked about, the Wheelchair Rugby World Cup is coming up in October. That's going to be on ITV. But if they're interested in getting involved with the Westcountry Hawks, we train on a Monday evening between 6 and 7 at the Life Centre. And if you'd like any more details, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and we have a website as well. And come and watch, because it is a great spectator sport, as we said. Absolutely, come and watch, yeah.
Radio from Devon for Devon. This is BBC Radio Devon.
Devon's news at just gone 10. I'm Ollie.